Chosen ones, this message is for you. If you are not walking the divine path that God has set before you, this message may not resonate with you. But if you are one of the chosen, one who has been set apart for a purpose greater than yourself, then you know the weight and challenges that come with such a calling. You may often feel misunderstood, isolated, and, at times, even forgotten by the very people you raised, loved, and poured your heart into. It is this feeling of being forgotten, of being left behind, that many chosen ones experience throughout their spiritual journey. Yet, this feeling of abandonment is not a sign of failure or rejection, but rather an integral part of the divine process that God uses to shape, refine, and prepare you for the destiny He has designed. The path you walk is not one that many will understand, and that's exactly how it is meant to be. You are not called to walk the same road as everyone else, nor are you meant to fit into the world's expectations or standards. The divine calling on your life often leads you down a path of loneliness, isolation, and hardship, and these moments can be painful. You may find yourself questioning why those you've loved and invested in seem to drift away or forget the importance of your presence in their lives. But it is important to understand that this separation is not a punishment, it is a process of preparation. In these moments, God is aligning your heart, mind, and spirit for the grand mission He has entrusted you with. While it may feel like you are walking this journey alone, you are actually being molded and shaped for something greater than you can see right now. As you walk through moments of solitude, you may feel like the world has left you behind, that no one understands the burden you carry. But trust this truth: your journey is sacred, and every trial, every moment of separation, is part of a divine plan that will ultimately lead you to fulfillment and purpose. The people you've helped, loved, and invested in may not understand the calling you carry, and that's okay. They are not meant to fully grasp it, because your mission is not for them to walk, it's for you alone. In this introduction, I want to affirm that your feelings of being forgotten or abandoned are not signs of failure but signs of divine alignment. God's timing and process are perfect, and even though you may feel isolated, He is with you every step of the way, guiding you, refining you, and preparing you for the greatness that awaits. This message is to remind you that, though you may feel forgotten, you are never truly alone. You have been chosen for a purpose far greater than what the world can see right now, and this journey, while difficult, will lead you to fulfill that divine purpose. Being chosen by God is not a path for the faint of heart. It is a calling that carries a heavy weight, one that few understand and even fewer are willing to walk. The chosen ones are not called to live a life of ease, comfort, or worldly success. Instead, they are called to a higher purpose, one that requires sacrifice, resilience, and unwavering faith. The path you walk is not like the path of others. It is not meant to be. You were chosen because God knows you have the strength to endure the trials, the tests, and the challenges that will come your way. This calling is not something you asked for, nor is it something you can escape. It is a divine purpose that has been placed on your life for reasons beyond your comprehension. You may question at times why you have been chosen for such a heavy burden, why it seems that the world is filled with people who have it easier, who don't seem to carry the same weight you do. But understand this: Your divine calling is not a punishment, it is a privilege. God has chosen you because He knows you are capable of handling what is to come. From the outside, people may not understand your struggle. They may see your dedication, your sacrifices, and your moments of solitude and think you are distant, perhaps even self-absorbed. But what they fail to see is the strength that lies within you, the divine purpose that propels you forward even when you feel like giving up. The chosen ones are often misunderstood because their journey is not one that can be easily understood by the average person. It is a path that requires inner strength and spiritual maturity that can only be developed through trials. Being chosen means that you will face difficulties that others may never have to experience. The weight of the calling can sometimes feel unbearable. There will be moments when you wonder if anyone truly understands the burden you carry, when you question whether the sacrifices you've made are worth it. During these times, it's crucial to remember that God is with you. He knows your heart, your struggles, and your every pain. Every test you face is shaping you, refining you, and preparing you for something much greater than what the world can offer. The divine calling on your life is not about you seeking fame, recognition, or validation from others. It is not about living a comfortable life or following the crowd. You were chosen to walk a different path, one that leads to spiritual growth, fulfillment, and purpose that can only be discovered through walking the journey God has set before you. This path will not be easy, but it will be worth it. Every trial, every moment of loneliness, every setback is preparing you for the divine mission that awaits. God has equipped you with everything you need to endure this journey and fulfill your purpose. You may not see it now, but in time, you will understand why you were chosen and how your journey will lead to a destiny greater than anything you could have imagined. One of the most difficult aspects of being chosen is the moments when you feel forgotten, abandoned, or even forsaken by those you've loved and poured into. The very people you've raised, supported, and sacrificed for may, at times, seem to distance themselves from you. You might feel as though the love and energy you've invested in others have been ignored or overlooked. The sense of being forgotten can be profoundly painful, especially when it comes from people who were once closest to you. But this feeling is not a reflection of who you are or the value you carry. It's part of the divine process that shapes and refines you for the purpose that God has set for your life. This sense of abandonment is not a sign of rejection or failure, rather, it is a necessary part of the calling. When you are chosen by God, you are often set apart for something greater than those around you can understand. People may not recognize the weight of your purpose, the sacrifices you must make, or the burden that you carry. They may not see why you must walk this journey alone at times, why you must distance yourself from the comfort of familiar relationships, or why you can't always be the person they expect you to be. The separation that happens is not a punishment, it's a divine preparation for the work that God is calling you to do. God's purpose for you is higher and more profound than the understanding of the people around you. There are moments when those closest to you, though they may love you deeply, simply cannot grasp the divine calling on your life. They may feel hurt or confused by your distance, but it's essential to recognize that this is part of your spiritual growth. You were not meant to stay in the same place you were before. God is refining you, shaping you into someone who is able to carry the weight of a higher calling. This requires separation, not because you are unworthy of love or companionship, but because God is preparing you for a purpose that requires focus, strength, and sometimes, solitude. When the people you love seem to forget you or turn away, it's easy to feel rejected. But it's important to understand that this process is not about abandonment, it's about alignment. God is using these moments of separation to realign your heart, your priorities, and your purpose with His divine will. He knows that in order to fulfill your calling, you must first be separated from distractions and attachments that may hinder your growth. Just as gold must be separated from impurities in the refining process, your spirit must be purified in moments of solitude. This is a time when you learn to rely fully on God, to trust in His plan even when others may not understand it. Remember, chosen ones, that even in your loneliness, you are not abandoned. God has never left your side. In the moments when you feel forgotten, you are being prepared for a mission that only you can fulfill. You may not see the fullness of it now, but trust that every moment of isolation is working together for your good. God is setting the stage for your divine purpose to unfold in His perfect timing. Embrace the loneliness, for it is the crucible in which your faith will be tested and refined, preparing you for the greatness that lies ahead. As you continue on your journey, you may feel as though the world has turned its back on you, leaving you in a state of solitude and confusion. But the truth is that this feeling of separation is not a form of punishment, it is an essential part of the refining process that God has designed for your life. Divine separation is not about abandonment, rather, it is about purification, growth, and alignment with the higher purpose God has set before you. Just as gold must be separated from impurities in a furnace, your spirit must undergo a similar process to be refined and shaped into a vessel that can carry God's glory and fulfill the divine mission He has entrusted to you. This process of divine separation often involves distance from people, places, and things that may have once been a source of comfort and familiarity. Those who once walked closely with you may not understand the changes you are going through. Relationships that once felt solid may begin to fade, and you may feel an overwhelming sense of isolation. But rather than seeing this as a negative experience, understand that it is part of God's perfect design to prepare you for what lies ahead. The people you love may not be able to walk with you on this path because their journey is different. God is calling you to something unique, something that requires you to walk alone, at least for a time. Think of the great figures in the Bible, such as Moses and Jesus, who both went through long periods of isolation before fulfilling their divine callings. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness, far from his people, before he was called to lead the Israelites out of Egypt. Jesus, too, spent 40 days and nights alone in the wilderness, facing temptation and preparing for his ministry. These periods of separation were not signs of failure or abandonment but times of preparation. During these times, they were being refined, shaped, and made ready for the monumental tasks God had set before them. Similarly, you too are being prepared in moments of solitude and separation. While it may feel as though you are being left behind, understand that God is using this time to deepen your faith, strengthen your character, and purify your spirit. It is in these quiet moments that you are able to hear God more clearly, to recognize His voice, and to align your heart with His will. In the absence of distractions, you will find the clarity and strength you need to carry out your divine purpose. This time of separation is not easy. It requires patience, trust, and an unwavering belief that God is at work even when you cannot see it. The challenges you face, the loneliness you endure, and the moments of doubt that creep in are all part of the process. Just as gold must be heated to extreme temperatures to remove its impurities, so too must your spirit endure the heat of trials to be purified. But know that you are not being tested without purpose. Each trial you face is refining you, shaping you into the person God needs you to be in order to fulfill your calling. Divine separation is about more than just physical distance from others. It is a spiritual elevation, a process by which God prepares you for the greatness He has planned. During this time, you may feel lonely or misunderstood, but remember that this solitude is a gift. It is the time in which your faith is tested, your reliance on God deepens, and your trust in His timing grows. Embrace this refining process, knowing that it is leading you to something far greater than anything you could have imagined. One of the most challenging aspects of walking the path of the chosen is the feeling of being forgotten by those you love, those you've poured your heart into, and those who once seemed to be the closest to you. This experience of being overlooked or dismissed can be deeply painful, especially when you've given so much of yourself to others. However, this forgetting is not as it appears on the surface. It is not a reflection of your worth or the significance of your journey, but rather a deeply spiritual process with a divine purpose behind it. The concept of forgetting in a spiritual context is not about people consciously choosing to ignore you or reject you, it is about their inability to see the divine calling you carry. Those around you may not understand why you are walking this path or why you seem distant at times. They may not see the weight of your calling, and because of that, they may not recognize the significance of your journey. In these moments, when you feel forgotten or misunderstood, it is important to remember that this is not about rejection, it is about divine alignment. When God calls someone to walk a divine path, there is a natural separation that must occur. This separation allows you to focus on your spiritual growth and purpose, free from the distractions and attachments that may hinder your progress. Just as a seed must be buried in the soil and removed from its previous environment to grow into something greater, you, too, must experience a spiritual separation from those who cannot yet understand the depth of the calling on your life. This is not a sign that you are being abandoned by God or by those who love you, but rather a necessary process for your refinement. Throughout Scripture, we see numerous examples of divine forgetting or separation. Moses, for instance, spent 40 years in the wilderness before he was called to lead the Israelites out of Egypt. Jesus spent 40 days in the desert, alone, before beginning his public ministry. These figures were not forgotten by God during their times of solitude, rather, they were being prepared, refined, and strengthened for their divine missions. The people who appeared to forget or misunderstand them were not meant to walk the path with them at that time. Their forgetting served a higher purpose. Similarly, the people in your life who seem to forget you are not rejecting you, they simply cannot see what God is doing in your life at the moment. Their spiritual eyes have not yet been opened to the divine purpose you are walking out. This forgetting creates space for you to grow spiritually and to fully step into the mission God has for you. As you walk this path, your relationships may shift, and some connections may fade, but understand that this is part of God's process to refine you. It is not a sign that you are alone, but rather a sign that you are being prepared for something far greater. When people forget you or fail to understand your calling, it can feel isolating, but this is not a sign of failure. Rather, it is an invitation to embrace your divine purpose with even greater faith. The people who are meant to walk with you will come at the right time, when God's plan is revealed in its fullness. Until then, trust that the divine separation is necessary for your growth. In the silence of being forgotten, you will find the strength to fully rely on God, knowing that He is the one who truly sees you and has never forgotten the purpose He has placed in your heart. As you walk the path of the chosen, one of the most difficult lessons to embrace is understanding and trusting in God's perfect timing. We live in a world where everything is expected to happen instantly, answers should come quickly, results should be immediate, and gratification should be instant. But divine timing is not bound by the constraints of human expectation. It operates on a completely different plane, one that requires patience, trust, and surrender. In the moments when you feel like nothing is happening, or when your efforts seem to be in vain, it's important to remember that God is always at work, even when you can't see it. Divine timing is a truth that is often difficult for the chosen ones to grasp. It's easy to feel frustrated when it seems like you've done everything right and yet nothing is unfolding the way you expect. You may wonder why things aren't moving faster, or why it feels like you're stuck in a waiting period. But God's timing is perfect. It is never early, never late, but always exactly when it needs to be. The delays, the moments of silence, and the periods of waiting are not signs of God's absence, they are part of His grand design. Consider the story of Joseph in the Bible. Joseph had dreams, grand dreams given to him by God, that foretold of his future greatness. However, those dreams did not come to fruition immediately. Instead, Joseph faced years of hardship, betrayal by his brothers, being sold into slavery, being wrongfully imprisoned, and feeling forgotten by those he helped. If anyone had a reason to doubt God's timing, it was Joseph. But through all of his trials, Joseph remained faithful. He trusted in God's plan, even when the circumstances didn't make sense. And in God's perfect timing, Joseph was elevated from the prison to a place of power, second only to Pharaoh, where he was able to fulfill the dreams God had given him. Joseph's journey illustrates a key lesson about divine timing: delay is not denial. Just because things are not happening according to your timeline does not mean that God has forgotten you or that His promises will not be fulfilled. Instead, it means that God is preparing you for something greater, something that requires patience, growth, and trust. You may not be ready for what God has in store for you right now, but He is working behind the scenes, aligning circumstances, and preparing your heart for what is to come. During the waiting period, it can be tempting to lose hope, to doubt God's plan, or to wonder if He has abandoned you. But know this, God's work in your life is often happening in ways you cannot see. The waiting period is not wasted time, it is a season of preparation. Just as a seed must be buried in the ground and nurtured in secret before it can sprout, so too must you go through a time of unseen preparation before you can fully step into the purpose God has called you to fulfill. God's timing is about more than just our individual destinies, it also involves the timing of others, the alignment of circumstances, and the orchestration of events that only He can control. Sometimes the delays in your life are not about you alone, but about the people and situations God is aligning to fulfill His perfect will. Trust that, even when you don't understand, God is working everything out for your good. In these moments of waiting, remember to trust God fully. Lean into the process, knowing that His timing is always right. When the time is right, He will open the doors, align the circumstances, and bring everything together in ways you couldn't have imagined. Keep walking in faith, even when it feels like nothing is moving, for the moment will come when everything falls into place, and you will see that all the waiting was worth it. As you continue on this journey, one of the most powerful realizations you can have is that your calling is not just about what you do, but about who you become in the process. The divine purpose that God has set before you is a mission that is deeply personal, yet it impacts the world in ways you may not fully understand at this moment. It's easy to get caught up in the challenges, the feelings of isolation, and the weight of the burden you carry. But the truth is, this journey, as difficult as it may be, is leading you towards something far greater than anything you could have imagined. The divine purpose of your life is not about seeking recognition from others or finding your worth in their approval. It is about fulfilling the mission that God has uniquely designed for you. This path is not easy, and it will not always be understood by those around you. You may feel misunderstood, overlooked, or even rejected, but in reality, this is part of the refining process. God is shaping you into the person He needs you to be in order to fulfill the purpose He has set before you. The trials you face, the loneliness you experience, and the moments of doubt you encounter are all contributing to your growth and transformation. Embracing your divine purpose means stepping into your identity as a chosen one, understanding that the calling on your life is sacred and significant. God has equipped you with everything you need to succeed, even when it doesn't feel like it. Every moment of struggle, every setback, and every sacrifice is preparing you for the greatness that is ahead. It is easy to become discouraged when it feels like the world is not recognizing your efforts or when you wonder if your sacrifices are in vain. But trust that the work you are doing is meaningful, even if it doesn't always feel that way. You have been set apart for a higher purpose, one that requires patience, resilience, and unwavering faith. This purpose is not just for your benefit, it is for the benefit of others. You may not yet see the full scope of your impact, but God is using your journey to touch lives, to inspire change, and to fulfill His greater plan. Your life is a testimony to His power, His love, and His ability to take someone who has been shaped by hardship and use them for His glory. The purpose you carry is not about worldly success or acclaim, but about fulfilling God's will in a way that brings healing, transformation, and light to the world around you. There will be moments when you question your path. There will be times when you wonder if you are truly making a difference, if the sacrifices are worth it. But know this, your journey is significant. You are walking in the footsteps of those who have come before you, those who were also chosen to carry out divine missions that required great sacrifice and faith. Just as Moses, Jesus, and countless others had to endure their own seasons of separation and struggle, so too must you. But remember, as you walk this path, you are never truly alone. God is with you every step of the way, guiding you, strengthening you, and preparing you to fulfill your divine purpose. Embracing your divine purpose also means accepting that this journey is not about instant gratification. It is about obedience, trust, and a willingness to surrender to God's timing and plan. The greatness that awaits you is not something that can be rushed or forced, it is something that will unfold in its perfect time. And when that moment comes, when the fullness of your purpose is revealed, you will see that every moment of struggle, every period of separation, and every sacrifice was worth it. Trust the process. Trust that God is working in you, refining you, and preparing you to walk into your purpose with clarity, confidence, and strength. The journey may be long and challenging, but remember that you were chosen for this. You are capable of carrying the weight of this divine calling, and with each step you take, you are one step closer to fulfilling the destiny that God has set before you. Embrace this journey with faith, knowing that it will lead to something greater than anything you could have imagined. Ultimately, being chosen is about embracing the divine purpose God has set before you. It is about understanding that your life is not your own, but a vessel through which God's love, power, and grace will be made manifest in the world. The sacrifices you make, the loneliness you endure, and the struggles you face are all part of the journey to fulfill this greater purpose. You were chosen for this task because God knows you are capable of handling the weight of the calling, and He has equipped you with everything you need to succeed. In the moments when you feel forgotten, remember that you are not alone. God has never forgotten you. He is refining you, shaping you, and preparing you for the work He has called you to do. Keep walking in faith, knowing that every trial, every moment of separation, and every instance of loneliness is preparing you for something greater. The destiny that awaits you is far beyond what you can see now, and as you trust in God's process, you will walk into your purpose with confidence, strength, and clarity. Remember, chosen one, you were not chosen by accident. Your life is part of a divine plan that is unfolding in perfect timing. Embrace your calling, trust the process, and know that you are more than capable of fulfilling the mission God has set before you. The world may not understand your path, but you are walking in the footsteps of those who have gone before you, who were also chosen to carry out divine missions that would change the world. Your journey is no different. Keep walking with faith and confidence, for God is with you, and He will never forget you.